Hi, everyone. So that concludes the morning session for TiE Women Forum. Deepinder and I would like to really thank you for being here and supporting us and listening to all these wonderful women present their stories and successes and challenges with us. So next time, I want to see everybody bring a friend to TiEcon to fill up this room. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TiE Silicon Valley Executive Director, Raj Desai.
Thank you very much. How's everyone doing? Okay, we have an exciting afternoon. Great number of speakers, inspirational, very relevant. So I'm glad you're all here. I hope you all, those of you who got lunch, enjoyed lunch. It is really my honor and privilege to bring to you all the way from Africa, as I'm African. I was born and brought up there. So delighted to have connected with a very young, highly accomplished, very visionary entrepreneur who will share his journey with you, Ashish Thakkar. You know, somebody who got twice expelled, not for any wrongdoing. He was only 11 when Idi Amin basically did what he did in Uganda. And after a couple of years, the family, tried to settle in the UK, but still felt very strong about Africa, as many of us from Africa still do now. Returned to a country called Rwanda. Those of you who've seen the movie Hotel Rwanda, within a couple of years, they were a hostage in that hotel. So you would think that second time around, with all of the situation that they went through, they would have had enough of Africa and would have ventured somewhere else. Well, they did for a year or so, but by then, at the age of 15, Ashish still felt very strong about Africa, even at that young age, and returned to really do business. Dropped out of school at 15. For many of you young folks here who are in school, I'm not encouraging that. And I'm sure Ashish will not do that too. It was just circumstance and the family situation. And with very little money, he just trotted between Dubai and various African countries and did business and realized that this was the route that he was going to choose. This was the journey. And I'll let him share his whole story with you because it'll come out better than me. I think many of you have probably researched on him, read his bio. But, even in Africa, I think we, for those of you who have not, been to Africa or don't really know about Africa, it's many countries. It's a big continent. And each country is unique and different. And for somebody like Ashish, at the young age, to gain the confidence and the trust of prime ministers, leaders in these countries, to be their advisor, to really get, tens of millions of dollars of business projects. I mean, he'll tell you more about glass factory, packaging plant factories. How is it that somebody like that can have that vision and that passion and that kind of trust and confidence to be able to do that in Africa? And he will also tell you that he's basically achieved all of that through no influence, no connections, no corruption that he has participated in. And today, being an advisor to many of these governments, he's very passionate that he's spending, significant amount of time, which we at TiE really nurture and promote, which is helping other entrepreneurs. He's got over 100 African entrepreneurs through various incubation and other support services that he's putting together. And his mission is to get to 1,000. In 20 countries in Africa, he has presence, not just trading partnerships. Many brands that we know of, an HP, a Google, a Microsoft, are looking at him to show them the way in Africa. He feels that that is the continent as the next emerging market. So those of you who are moving ahead with your entrepreneurial journey, think of Africa. as another place of opportunity. With that, I'm going to let Ashish tell us his story. I'm really delighted that with a one simple email request, he graciously accepted and said, it'll be my pleasure to be in Silicon Valley and to address all of you here. So he's that much down to earth. He spent the whole day with us today. He was with us Thursday, lunch and evening, and we are really delighted to have him. Just before I bring Ashish on stage, I'd like to introduce you to Saurabh Tandon and Sana Chaudhary. They have been instrumental in putting this afternoon's program together, the TiE youth. So Saurabh and Sana. I'd like to also mention the plane that's been flying overhead. Those of you who have not been out, that basically has a message. Mara, it is time for Africa. And Ashish and his team arranged for that for 4 hours. That's what they're doing. I think many of us in Silicon Valley need to know more about Africa. And through people like Ashish, that is going to be our connection. So we hope that one of these days soon, we'll also have a TiE established and an organization over in Africa. With that, thank you very much for being here. I'll have Ashish come and take you through his journey. We're delighted to have him here. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you, Raj. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today. My name is Ashish Thakkar. I'm the founder of the Mara Group and the Mara Foundation. 3 key words that really resonate with me are empower, enable, and inspire. I'm going to give you a bit of background and explain why these words mean so much to me. And it's not as long as it sounds, so don't worry. But in 1890, my father's family left India, sailed for 45 days looking for trading opportunities. My father's family ended up in Uganda. In 1920, my mother's family similarly left India, sailed again for 45 days, and ended up in Tanzania. After they got married, they lived in Kenya, and then they moved back to Uganda. In 1972, the Idi Amin saga took place. Some of you may have seen the movie The Last King of Scotland, which was a great movie and a terrible movie. So The Last King of Scotland kind of showed the story of Idi Amin and how he expelled all the expatriates from Uganda. My parents were amongst them. So they got kicked out of Uganda and moved to England. They got to England, they lost everything they had. So my father got a job in the Ford factory. My mother was working in the Walker's Crisp factory. They built up some small capital, set up a small business, built some more capital, and bought a small home. In '93, they wanted to go back home. They wanted to go back to Africa. So they sold the home, they sold the business, and we moved to Rwanda. I was studying in Nairobi at the time in Kenya, because Rwanda was a French-speaking country. And on April 3rd, 1994, which was 9 months after we shifted, I went for my Easter holidays. And the day after, April 4th, 1994, the genocide started. So me, my sister, and my parents were refugees in Rwanda for about 3 weeks. We were at our home for about 7 days, and then we moved to the Hotel Rwanda, which is Hotel de Mille Collines. And we were there for about 8-9 days. Then we were taken to the French school, where we had to sleep for about 2 nights. And the amazing thing is, which, the world was not as connected as it is today. And in 1994, my elder sister, my grandmother, and the rest of my family who were in England saw that we're alive when they saw us on CNN at the French school, which was 2 weeks into the genocide. From there, we were taken to the airport. We slept there for a night. We were evacuated to Burundi, which is a neighboring country. The president of Burundi had been assassinated with the president of Rwanda, so Burundi was also going through a bit of a civil war. And we finally got through to Kenya. So luckily, after 3 weeks, we came out alive, but unfortunately lost everything we built from '72 to '93. I'm at an age in '94 where I can understand what's happening. I can see that my parents are struggling. I can see they're going through a rough time. We as a family then moved to Uganda, so a full circle back home. And I can see people are kind of staying away from my parents, scared that if they get too close, maybe my parents will ask for a favor. So I wanted to do something about it, and I needed to do something about it. So at the age of 15, in 1996, I took a $5,500 loan and quit my education. So I'm not the best role model in that sense. I quit school full-time, and I spent half of that $5,500 setting up a small shop. So I paid my first month rent, I bought some furniture, and I bought a ticket to Dubai. And with the other $2,500, I went to Dubai, filled my suitcase with motherboards, processors, and hard drives. At that time, it was the 486s were the big thing then. So filled my suitcase with $2,500 worth of goods, came back to Uganda, sold Monday to Friday, and on the weekend, I'd go back to Dubai, fill my suitcase again, and I'd be shuttling back and forth. I did this for about 4 months. And then I spoke to my suppliers and said, look, you've been seeing me here every weekend for 4 months. Can you please give me some credit? And they said, but you're from Africa. You're not going to pay us back. And I was like, but. So I started speaking to the other people I saw that were from other African countries and said, how do you guys get credit? And they said they don't because nobody trusts them. So I was advised at the time that if I set up a business in Dubai and give post-dated checks, I can actually set up a base and get credit. So I did that. I set up a small business in Dubai, and I started giving post-dated checks and getting credit. So I started speaking to these other people from Africa again and said, look, how about if I give you credit? Will you pay me back? And they're like, yeah, of course we will. And I was like, but will you really pay me back? And they're like, yeah, we will. So I was like, no, I want to come to your home. I want to come and stay with you for 1 or 2 nights and just look you in the eyes and make you promise me that. So I did that. In 1996, when I was 15, I was actually traveling to Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Kenya, Zambia, Ethiopia, Democratic Republic of Congo, South Africa. And I would stay at these people's homes, go to work with them every day, eat break bread with them every day, and then look them in the eyes and say, promise you're going to give me this $10,000 back, otherwise I'm seriously screwed. And they promised they would. And I started that way. I'd get 45 days of credit by giving a post-dated check, and I would give 21 to 30 days of credit. Not one of these debtors of mine defaulted. And that was a huge thing for me. But what I also learned in that process was that, Africa is actually, it's not one country. It's a continent. It's a continent of 54 countries. The North African region we consider as a part of the Middle East, and it's actually known as the MENA region, which is Middle East, North Africa. But sub-Saharan Africa, which is where I'm from, that's 46 countries. We're 46 different countries, 46 different languages, histories, cultures, mindsets, approaches. It's a whole unique place. So we very quickly realized that our strength is not hard drives and motherboards and processors, but our strength is actually that we understand Africa, and we can go about it in a slightly different way. So fast tracking to today, the group is now headquartered in Dubai still. We have presence in 26 countries globally, but 19 African countries. And we employ about 7,500 people in Africa now. As a group, we kind of have 4 core principles. Whatever we do must have a positive social impact. It must be beneficial for the countries and the people. We don't want to do things like mining and extract some natural resource from the earth and export it, and the country does not benefit at all. We want to do things that actually will leave behind a positive legacy. Secondly, whatever we do must be game-changing. Now, game-changing can be a bit of a vague term sometimes, but we like to do things differently. For example, we own Africa's largest IT company. That's the company I started with my suitcase. And that business, for example, is, offshoring is the hot thing in IT. We started doing onshoring and started executing skills locally. So we like to do things slightly differently. Thirdly, whatever we do, we make sure that we do Pan-African, because that's what we understand and that's what we feel our strength is. And lastly, whatever we do, we brand Mara, because we're proud of what we do everything above board, and therefore stick our label on it. So as a group, we very quickly transformed, and we started kind of making that impact. But 3 years ago, I wanted to make more of an impact and make a bit more of a difference. And I started the Mara Foundation, which is our nonprofit social enterprise. And I wanted to do something which is relevant to us and which we can kind of add value in. Entrepreneurship was what we thought that made sense to us. So 3 years ago, we set up a Mara Foundation, which was focused on young entrepreneurs, giving them mentorship, giving them advice. You know, Africa is 1 billion people today. We're a continent with 1 billion people. We have the world's youngest population. 50% of our population is under the age of 15. 85% of our population is under the age of 35. That means that 35% of our population is between the ages of 15 and 35. So we have an extremely young population, and we have a huge unemployment issue. But the answer to unemployment is not starting up these big factories or foreign direct investment. I mean, you know, we're putting in $120 million in Nigeria, putting up a glass manufacturing plant. But $120 million is not equivalent to 120,000 jobs. It's equivalent to 800 jobs, because automation is obviously in place. So how do you actually solve this unemployment issue? And therefore, we kind of nurture entrepreneurship in these environments. So we have several different programs. We do mentorship. So we give guidance, advice, we handhold. We explain why it's important to register a company, why it's important to set up a business, why it's important to formalize, be in the formal sector rather than the informal sector. We then realize that it's very sexy to be working out of your bedroom in this part of the world and out of your garages, but in our part of the world, people don't trust you. People just don't look up to you. And therefore, we set up incubation centers, which actually allow these entrepreneurs to actually work from there. And the last part, which is obviously the missing link, is the whole partners and capital. How can they get access to capital? I was lucky enough to raise $5,500. But where do they get that capital from? And that's how the venture capital fund kind of gives that capital to them. As a young entrepreneur, and I just met a 13-year-old entrepreneur, so I don't feel that young anymore. But as a relatively young entrepreneur, I think, you know, the key things that I've learned and been through is that, you know, you're going to face challenges constantly. You're going to be getting down your course, you know, you're going to be focusing, but you're going to get tripped up. You're going to go flat on your face. You have to get up. You have to dust yourself off. You have to get back to it. Challenges are there. Were there yesterday. They're here today. They're going to be there tomorrow. It's a part of the package. Staying positive. I have a spiritual leader whose name is Morari Bapu, who plays a key part in my life. And his core teaching is truth, love, and compassion. And he really teaches us on how to be positive. And I think being positive is so, so important. Think big. Absolutely think big. Dream. I mean, we're in this part of the world where, you know, I don't think anyone dreams like people dream here. But dream. And that's, you know, break that boundary. But be practical. Start small. Think big, start small. Scale up. You know, you want to have 1,000 employees, you want to have 10,000 employees, start with 1. Don't go to that 100 from day 1. Don't just burn your cash. I mean, go step by step. It's important to dream, and I think, you know, you have to. Frankly, I quit school at the age of 15 because I had to. I mean, I needed to. It was something that had to be done. But today, I think, you know, the environment is completely different. You're all extremely, extremely lucky. In our part of the world, young entrepreneurs, the only advice, you know, their parents, the young entrepreneurs who are starting up businesses, their parents are either farmers or civil servants, which means they work for government. They're not entrepreneurs. Who do they go to for advice? The education system does not give them the advice. Their parents can't give them the advice because they don't know any better. So how do they go about it? And therefore, this mentorship platform, which today Mara Mentor is actually impacting 130,000 young entrepreneurs across Africa. And in August, we're launching Mara Women, which is going to be focusing on women entrepreneurs across Africa. So I would say absolutely dare to dream. This is what it's all about. And I would like to encourage you all. I mean, we've got this plane flying around, and it was our little way of giving a bit of a statement to say, you know, it's a Mara logo, and it says it's time for Africa. And it's our way of saying, you know what, Africa's arrived. I am actually Africa's second astronaut. I'm flying into space. I'm a founder astronaut with Virgin Galactic. And again, that was one of those things where, you know, as Africa, we also have the vision and ability. So I'd like to strongly encourage you all to come and visit our beautiful continent and come and see the opportunities. Start working with people in Africa. Start plugging in. Start sharing ideas. We're 1 billion people. Today, when I'm here, I still see that there's a big emphasis on India and China, which is great. I have nothing against that. But saying that, you know, our logo is the African lion. The Mara logo is the lion. And our little joke, which a lot of people don't appreciate, but I love it, is the Indian tiger and the Chinese dragon have had their days. It's now the African lion's turn. And therefore, I really would like to encourage you to become a part of this. You know, I want to make you visualize this. Africa physically is larger, and I want you to pay attention to this. It's physically larger than North America, Western Europe, India, China, and New Zealand put together. Put all of these places together, and Africa is physically larger. We have the most naturally rain-fed arable land in the world. We don't have a legacy system in terms of technology. We created mobile money, right? M-Pesa in Kenya is an innovation that came out of our continent. So in that sense, I really would like to encourage you guys to become a part of this amazing revolution. We, as Mara Group and Mara Foundation in collaboration, have created a new product, which is called, it's an online thing called Mara Online, which is our little equivalent. And you know, we've created this, it's a mobile and online platform, which today, actually, right now, on your app stores and your Google stores, it's gone live today in honor of TiEcon. Mara Connect, which is our voice over IP platform, which is, you know, it's, and I've been warned not to say this, but I feel like I can, you know, trust you guys. So, you know, it's our competition to Skype, right? And it's, and it's, in our opinion, a much, and it's, in our opinion, it's a much higher quality product, and it's really cool. But so Mara Connect, in the next few weeks, we launch Mara Messenger, which is our free text-based messaging service. We launch BuzzMe, which is our social networking site. In the next few months, we're going to be launching Mara Pay, which is our payment gateway, which is going to enable people to kind of, it's like an electronic version of Western Union, right? Where people can actually, there's billions of dollars going from the US to Africa through diaspora. The way that's sent right now is physically cash being deposited and physically cash being received. We're going to enable this to, people can pay through credit cards over here and receive money on mobile phones over there. So Mara Online has over 100,000 users already, and we're now going live globally, which is great. And today it's gone on the stores. On that note, I've got a little video that I'd like you to see, which is a short 90-second video, and then I'll do my wrap-up. Thank you.
The Indian tiger and the Chinese dragon have had their days, and now the African lion is roaring. The African century has arrived. Africa is going through an amazing transition and is today the world's fastest growing continent and is the single most exciting place for opportunities. Africa is the world's most rapidly growing market for mobile and internet technology. The number of mobile phone users in Africa is already larger than Europe and North America put together. The young generation of Africans want new ways of communicating, interacting, sharing information, and collaborating across the continent. That is why we have developed Mara Online.
We're launching 3 unbelievably amazing products. Mara Connect, BuzzMe, Mara Messenger,
which will fundamentally change the way young people communicate in Africa.
Mara Messenger is our free text-based messaging service, which is going to be enabled on so many different types of mobile handsets and devices. It's going to make communication so much quicker, easier, and cheaper. Mara Connect is our voice over IP platform, which is going to be higher sound quality than some of the common international brands, and more importantly, it's going to be enabled across the continent. So communicating with and within the continent is going to become a lot cheaper, quicker, and easier. BuzzMe is a social networking site which is going to be lots of fun, and it's going to kind of just make sure that people kind of are in touch and enjoying themselves apart from just working away as usual.
With Mara Online, the opportunities for African youth are endless. We want to change the way people communicate in Africa.
Africa is the future, and therefore these tools are going to be enabling tools which are going to help our leaders of tomorrow prosper and progress a lot quicker and easier than they've been able to in the past.
Enjoy the Mara Online experience.
Are you coming for the ride?
It's time for Africa.
It's time for Africa. We're all Africa.
Thank you so much.
Wasn't that amazing? So we have a lot of questions being asked on various Twitter feeds, so I thought I will take a couple of minutes that we still have left to ask you a few more things. Can you kind of give us a little bit more examples of how you are making the change in Africa in terms of, like we were having some discussions of, you're doing things by using the local, you're kind of doing insourcing, if you might. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Sure. I mean, I think what we're trying to take advantage of, you see, we've got to be practical. Africa today, we have, when it comes to energy, we have 75 terawatts of power as a continent, and we've got sub-Saharan Africa has 800 million people. Spain has 75 terawatts of power and has 40 million people. So we have some natural challenges, but they're actually huge opportunities, and that's what needs to be taken note of. So on that note, we are trying to take advantage of the resources that exist, the consumptions that are there, and how we can actually produce things locally which make a bigger impact and difference.
So there are a lot of people here who are running companies, and they're kind of wondering, okay, Ashish gave us a great message, but how do I really get involved? What do you want them to do? How can they contribute?
I would love for people to sign up to Mara Mentor. It's a mentorship platform for the young entrepreneurs or the aspiring entrepreneurs. Mara Mentor is a platform which gives a lot of advice and guidance. It has entrepreneurs from around the world, and it will give you a lot of simple tips on how to go about things. And for the more successful entrepreneurs, the people who are established, we would love for you to sign up as mentors and also contribute to this. It's a platform which is absolutely free for everybody, but it's a lot of brainstorming and kind of just share ideas and make things happen.
So do you think the mentors here can really give an advice that will apply to people in Africa where they really don't understand how the system works?
Sorry?
If we have mentors here who can sign up, how do you think they can add value to people sitting in Africa where I'm sure the problems are very different than, we can give advice on, high-tech ventures and raising money and all that stuff. How relevant is it to the African mentees?
I think, in my opinion, and now working across 26 countries globally, I think entrepreneurship is a global language. I think it needs to be tweaked locally, country to country. And therefore, I think it's extremely relevant. I mean, today, Mara Mentor is being launched in China, Mexico, and Ireland with Network for Teaching of Entrepreneurship, which is an organization based out of Washington, D.C. And the whole point is that everybody needs the basic advice and guidance and support. As we were discussing, that it's not only this area has an amazing energy and buzz and the vibrancy of entrepreneurship, but other parts of the United States also don't have that. So I think it's a global language, and I think everybody can contribute and learn from it as well at the same time.
Okay. You mentioned you mentioned Morarji as one of your mentors. Is there any other mentor that you sort of have been looking up to all this time, and do you still have a mentor you look up to?
I'm constantly inspired, and I think this was why my initial words of enable, empower, and inspire, it's so important to kind of create that ecosystem. But I'm continuously inspired by people. When I was very young, I was obviously always looked up to Richard Branson and Ratan Tata, both amazing individuals who I really have a lot of respect for. Understanding more and seeing how, I mean, Bill Gates, everybody loves Bill Gates for what he did with Microsoft, but seeing how he's even running Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is extremely inspiring, just seeing his depth of knowledge. So there are lots of people that I'm always inspired by.
So any last minute advice? Any last words?
I would just like to sum up by saying, dare to dream, think big, start small, and I think have your basic values and principles in place. Honesty, being hardworking, I have a firm belief that whatever goes around comes around, and therefore when you with the right intention give back, you're going to receive so much more back. Help people around you, just be a good soul, enjoy it, and most importantly, the most important message is you've got to love what you do. You've got to live it, you've got to love it, and I wish you all the best of luck. God bless. Thank you. Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you. Thank you so much.